grave mistake this day.
Alright, so today guys we're going to go over my custom Hammer of the Ancients build that I've kind of like changed things around to make the ring work, the new ring of Furor, I think that's what it's called. It's very similar to other people's builds because let's face it, all of us barbarians, we use the damage with berserking and stuff because of the multiplier with blood rage, I think is what it's called. But yeah, so we did ball lightning the other day. That video actually did fairly well, so it's going to be very similar. We're going to do the same thing. We're just going to go over my Barbarian build. It can one-shot Duriel very easily, but it can also clear dungeons very easily. That's the big thing about me is like I don't want to redo Paragon boards and things like that because, well, I don't know, it's a pain in the butt to respec and stuff. I'll do gear swaps. I'll even change like key passives and stuff like that. To make things work, but I don't know, I don't want to go through and have to redo a whole board even with the refund button. Also real quick, I'm talking like this and I'm kind of quiet because my girlfriend and my kid are asleep behind me, so I'm trying not to be loud, so I got the microphone real close and stuff. But let's get over to it. Alright, so I'm going to start out by saying I do have two Uber Uniques on. One of them is Shaco, one of them is the Grandfather. The alternative to Shaco would probably be that one unique helmet that you double berserk with. If not that, then just a normal helmet with like Aspect of Might on it and like total armor, max life. I'll have an alternative that's not a unique in the build planner, but if you have a Shaco, you know you got a Shaco. So, and then the Grandfather, the alternative would be. Something like this. So strength, overpower, damage to close, damage while berserking on an axe in particular. With Edge Masters on it, Edge Masters is on this. I mean, it could go anywhere, but it's on, or anywhere that it could go. It's on the one-handed weapon though, and here, if you're using Edge Masters on the two-handed slashing weapon, I would just put another offensive aspect on here that you think you could work with. If you're somebody that uses the basic way more than I do, you would go with possibly Expectant. I don't think Expectant's that good, but anyway, just anything that contributes to damage and you're going to be fine. Then we're going to go to the chest armor. The chest armor, we have Numbing Wrath on there, so when we gain Fury while we're at max Fury, we gain Fortify. Total armor, max life, damage reduction from close. Technically, the damage reduction from close should be damage reduction while fortified, but I just had this chest armor, so that's what we went with. You'll notice, too, I have sapphires in these, but then I wanted a little bit of max life, so we just have a mixture going on here. Let's go over to the gloves, though. The gloves have Relentless Berserkers on them. Technically, this could go on the boots, and you could put another offensive aspect to do even more damage. I don't really care about that so much. I'd rather have a little bit of extra movement speed, so we have Ghost Walker on the boots. But Hammer of the Ancients, Overpower, Crit Chance, Attack Speed. Go over to the pants now. The Bolt's Will, of course, every build uses it because when you become unstoppable, you deal up to 40% multiplicative damage. It's just really, really good, especially since every single build can become unstoppable with that Metamorphosis Vampiric power. Obviously, as a barbarian, you have numerous ways to become unstoppable even without it, but it's nice. We go over to the boots here. Ghost Walker. Evade charges, and then movement speed, and then a bunch of resistances, because if there's one thing the barbarian sucks at, it's elemental resistances, because they don't use intelligence for anything, and that's where you get elemental resistance from. And then their boards also don't have a whole lot of resist all elements in it. There's one, but there's nothing, there's not an ample amount, right? So I have a lot of resistance on here, and technically I don't need fire resistance. I ran out of Forgotten Souls though, because both of my rings have fire resistance, so we're a little bit overkill here. So technically I would want like cold resistance or shadow resistance. You would tailor that to your own like specific rings resistance and things like that, but you're just trying to get as high as you can. You'll probably won't max out because you are a barbarian. What you could do is try to tailor it for specific dungeons and stuff, but the whole point of my build is that I don't want to I don't want to redo Paragons all the time, so I try to make all-in-one Paragons that can kill Duriel, can kill Lilith, can do tier 100 dungeons. Enough rambling though. Limitless Rage on the Mace. Big surprise, everybody does. We got all stats, overpower, damage to close, and damage while berserking. Damage while berserking is the best stat for Barbarians right now. Let's see. I already showed you this. Got Edge Masters on here, and then Ancestral Force on the other one hand. Got Strength, Overpower, Close, and Berserking. Same thing as the... Oh, well, no, the Mace has all stats, but we have Strength on these. Go to the first ring. This is the new ring. This is kind of the thing that holds the build together because it allows you to create a build that's like super invested into overpowering, so you can do tons of damage, but you can still run through tier 100 dungeons because you'll constantly crit things. Because the issue usually is if you don't crit something and you don't overpower it, you do like 200,000 damage, 400,000 damage. That's every single Hammer of the Ancients build. That's really the big problem. So with this, after you spend 100 Fury, I mean the other stats, they're okay. Technically, like damage while berserking and all that stuff's better. But this makes up for it by... I mean, you spend 100 Fury every, like, 2 hits, I think, with Hammer of the Ancients, in the way I have it set up. So you crit every other at least. So, and plus you just have natural crit chance and stuff like that. So it just lets you run through dungeons and stuff way easier. I have a really crappy roll, I just realized. But, yeah, I mean, it's... I've made a couple of changes around the fact that I can use this ring because I don't have to worry so much about non-overpowering damage. Because when you crit, and you don't overpower, and you're hitting 5 million, you're going to kill most adds in one hit, you're going to kill most elites in like 1, 2, 2 hits, right? And then you can just like pump up for the boss, get your overpower ready, and then just destroy the boss. And you can get ready to kill Duriel, you can get ready to do anything with it. Anyway, the other ring is crit chance, damage while berserking, max life, max fury. Resource gen instead of max fury is possibly better. I haven't really tested it much, but yeah, you kind of have plenty of resource gen, actually. I take that back. Okay, so just leave it at max fury. And then we have unrelenting fury on it, so when you hit a boss or kill an enemy, you get 30% of your base fury cost back. Only happens once per cast, whatever. It's pretty big whenever things cost a lot of fury. And then we're going to go over to the amulet. Now we have the Banish Lord's Talisman as our boss killing amulet, so we just do a quick gear swap. It won't let me do it right now for some reason, but on the normal amulet, movement speed, total armor, fury cost reduction, cooldown reduction. Pretty basic stuff. I need a better movement speed roll. But anyway, especially if I'm going to be doing speed runs. But anyway, this right here, you throw it on right before you go to the boss. Same concept. The affix is absolutely insane. Where after you spend 300 of your primary resource, so pretty much what you do, you slam the ground a couple times, hitting at nothing, regenerate your fury and some of your shouts and stuff, get it to that 300, and you walk up and you do like 300 million damage to the boss, and then just kind of fall. You don't have to do that when you're soloing tier 100. That's what you do when you're like going up towards Duriel or something. You kill the mobs on the way there too, things like that. You generate fury and go over, and then because of the numbing wrath, you get fortify, which makes your overpower hit a lot harder. You just do a quick gear swap right before the boss. There's no change in. You don't have to change paragons. You don't have to do anything like that. We're gonna go over expertise. Of course, you use the two-handed axe because the 15% multiplicative increased damage to vulnerable enemies. That's not 15% vulnerable damage. That's just more damage if the enemy is vulnerable. There's a lot of that in this build where, it only cares about the enemy being vulnerable, and you don't really need to worry about doing vulnerable damage, though. Almost skipped over them because they have their own tab here, not here. Vampiric powers, metamorphosis, Prey on the Weak, resilience, sanguine brace, and blood boil. Blood boil, just to guarantee that you overpower every 20 seconds, which, by the way, with anything else that says you're guaranteed to overpower, they stack. So if I have 20 seconds and 12 seconds, then if they're both up at the same time, you'll just double overpower. Some people have tried to argue with me with that, but like I've witnessed it numerous times playing the build. You just like double overpower back to back. Metamorphosis, the thing that makes you unstoppable and inflicts them with the Vampiric Curse, which is important. You'll give them the Vampiric Curse, and they're always vulnerable for as long as they have it. Ignore the thing that says insufficient packs. I don't know what that's about because it didn't say that earlier. I must have put something new on, and don't realize it. But this is definitely all the right stuff. Oh, the boots. I got new boots. Anyway. Wow, I've been missing out on a little bit of damage then. Anyway, resilience, just to get a little bit of extra damage reduction if you start getting weak. Sanguine Brace is the most important one up here, to be honest. Is so when you kill an enemy, you fortify for 6% of your base life, since the build uses overpower for starters, and you also get crit chance and stuff. But you're constantly fortifying when you kill stuff, and that's making your overpower shit harder. It's also working with anything that cares about being fortified. And there's a couple of things. I think, yeah, we went over all of them there. We went over that already. Skill tree. Okay. Bash, and then, I mean, you don't need combat bash. I personally don't use this at all for the most part. We just kind of spam Hammer the Ancients, but this can help you, especially in the beginning if you're leveling with an Hammer the Ancients build. Just after you crit strike 4 times, your next core skill will guarantee to overpower. Of course, everything in the Hammer of the Ancients that you can, and then Furious Hammer of the Ancients. It deals 1% multiplicative additional damage for each point of fury you had when using it. Absolutely insane. Which is also why having Max Fury matters. Rally and Cry. So I only have 1 point into it, but because of the Shaco, it's going to say 5 for everything that has 1 point. Rally and Cry grants you unstoppable while active, and then we go with the 20 Fury and 20% multiplicative resource generation, because when you use Rally and Cry, this is how when you first go into the dungeon, you use Rally and Cry, and you just have a full bar of Fury, and you're just ready to go. Challenging Shout to get some damage reduction. Do this to get some extra life for like the fortifying stuff, but we don't bother with these two here. Swiftness for extra movement speed. This one has an extra point into it because, I mean, it gives you a little bit of... I have 1 point left over, and you get extra multiplicative damage with it, so we might as well throw it into this. Yeah, and then, sorry, I was reading. Power War Cry. We don't use Raid Leader. Shouting and healing people for 3% of their life, that's cool and all, I guess, if you run in groups and stuff. But I don't think it's worth just putting 3 points in it to heal people for 3% of their life, for a maximum of 9% of their life. It's not worth. The effect durations being 24% longer, that's important. And then your enemy's doing less damage from your shout skills, also important. You berserk a lot with this build. 12% damage reduction while berserking, and then berserking fury generation by 18%. Pit Fighter, so you deal 9% increased multiplicative damage to close enemies, and you get damage distant damage reduction, but the important part's the 9% damage to close. And then 1 point to here to get to here. While you have Fortify for over 50% of your life, this is why Fortifying also matters. You deal 12% multiplicative damage. While using two-handed weapons as heavy-handed, you deal 15% increased multiplicative critical strike damage. Your overpowers 45% multiplicative increased, and then your skills using bludgeoning weapons deal 15% increased damage if the enemy is stunned or vulnerable. So it doesn't matter. This is what I was saying earlier with this is Wallet, by the way. This is what I was saying earlier. It doesn't really matter about vulnerable damage. The only thing that matters is that the opponent is vulnerable. And then Wrath of the Berserker. 1 in a Tempered Fury. Kind of want to put more in there, but maybe that's where I'll put that extra point. Anyway, though. Invigorating Fury. So you heal for 9% of your maximum life for each 100 Fury spent. And then Unbridled Rage. Core skills deal 135% multiplicative increased damage, but they cost more Fury. currently, with the Fury cost reduction stuff, sitting at 54 still. So I was right. 2 Hammer of the Ancients will guarantee a crit. Go over to the Paragon. We have Exploit in the starter board. The only thing we're worried about with Exploit is getting the bonus range requirements. So that's just 5 nodes. Let me grab this extra physical damage node here, armor node, and then some extra life node. We didn't bother with these. I wanted to, but like, you know, you're crunching on a budget here. You got 225 nodes. So we take 2, come over, grab this to get the extra life, because extra life matters for the fortify. Look him up here, damage while berserking. Damage while berserking is super important because of this. This is where most of the damage is going to come from. Killing a bleeding enemy, that doesn't matter. Your damage, this doesn't matter, it has nothing to do with bleeding. Your damage is increased by 25% multiplicative of your damage while berserking bonus. So essentially, if you have 200% damage while berserking, you do 50% multiplicative damage. Pretty straightforward. So you're trying to stack a bunch of damage while berserking. That's what this stuff over here is. Okay, that's what this right here is, damage while berserking stuff. And then damage while berserking here. And we have might here. This is where most people do put might because it increases the damage while berserking nodes. But technically you can put anything there, but look how clean and simple it is to grab the strength nodes. Come up here, more damage while berserking stuff. A little bit of damage to elites. This is typically how most people have this board set up. I've seen people that don't go and do this though. I don't know why, because it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the best you get pretty much anywhere. But you come up here and we just grab this. You want to make sure that this is the last board you put up, because you should get the willpower, and you definitely should get the strength. So by doing that, you pretty much guarantee that you will get everything else, as long as you don't have the crappiest all stat rolls that you could possibly imagine. Come over here. This is, so technically I would want this because max fury and the multiplicative damage that comes with it. Technically the best thing you could do, I do not like to mess with Paragon boards. You guys know this by now, but technically it would be to take this stuff and move it up here when you do bosses, move it back here when you do dungeons. But I just leave it here because the whole point of my build is I don't want to do that. But this is just fury on kill, which is insane when you're running through dungeons. You also get max fury over here too. This just also gives you max life, which helps get a little bit more damage. I don't think it's enough to justify moving it all the time. Bunch of max fury and fury on kill. That's pretty much what fuels this build, mixed with the crit damage from the ring, to just be one build that can run through T100 and one build, or the same build, being able to kill bosses in one hit. Come up here, territorials in here. This is where my build definitely differs from most people. Most people only go for the damage reduction. I want the damage from close. Here's the little bit of resistance to all elements that I was telling you guys about. Barely even worth it, 1.5%. Don't really, that's why this one's not there. Okay. And then we're gonna go up here. Ire is in here. This is Bonebreaker. I forgot to do this one. That's Warbringer. And this is Carnage. Come up here. We got Bonebreaker. Oop. Put Ire in here. Pretty straightforward pathing, right? Come up here. I wanted to grab these extra armor and life nodes up here. Not these two, but this right here in this straight line. And because I'm coming up here to do this, if you grab right here, it's faster and easier to go up here to this, to the Bonebreaker node than it is to go this way. I've seen people, they take builds, and they come up and they try to go from one board to the other just to grab the node. And I don't think they realize that it's the same amount or more to do that. It looks like it's not, but if you look at, I can't remember his name, but he had something that he liked to call the God Overpower board. The board was not bad. It's very similar to this one. But he was coming out of here. He had this too, right? It took 21 nodes to go this way. It takes 20 to do this. It takes 15 to do this from here. and he had this. But anyway, I also grabbed these two here because it's really easy. Damage while fortified, stuff like that. Damage while healthy, which doesn't matter nearly as much, but might as well just grab it, right? So it comes up here, grabs this. We overpower every 12 seconds. We come up over here to the last board. The last board is Decimator. And I grab a little bit of extra vulnerable damage here. It doesn't really matter, but it's we're using strength in this anyway. We have Crusher in here. The only thing we're worried about, which we have a little bit over, but the only thing we're worried about is getting the extra 30% damage or increased overpower damage with a mace. And then you do extra damage with a mace, but that's flat damage, so we weren't too worried about filling it in all the way. Come up here, grab this, grab that, and then it's kind of just a straight line almost, right? Not literally, but you come through here, come in here, there's 3 strength nodes right there. Hit this, start here, go that way, right? You could get rid of one of these and you'll still hit the, I would recommend this one, but anyway, you would still hit the 40 strength needed. Pretty straightforward board. Damage, Ire does damage while berserking. Sorry, my brain's not working here. But it's pretty straightforward. It's going to look similar or almost identical to a lot of other people's builds, but usually they sway one way or the other. They'll grab these for like leveling builds. They switch over to the Duriel build. It comes up here and grabs this, right? Some people, and I thought about it myself, put some stuff up here. You could technically do that and save some nodes. What I've been trying to figure out is if I can cut nodes somewhere and grab like some of these resistances, because here and here are the only 2 places you're going to be able to grab resistances, but they're out of the way because, again, barbarians have such an issue with resistances. But I think that's it. I appreciate anybody who's sat here and listened to me ramble for 20 minutes. Everybody have a nice day.